Hi, you're listening to Yellow Glitter, a podcast on mindfulness through the eyes and soul of a gay Asian. I'm your host, Stephen Wakabayashi, and you're listening to a very special episode for this month of February on love, queer Asian love. In this episode, I'm joined by my friend Derek. Hi, Derek.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, listeners. How are you?
Derek Tran, he, him, his, is a gay second-generation Vietnamese American entrepreneur residing in Los Angeles. His interests include mindfulness, fitness, environmental sustainability, and has been an integral part of the LA gaysian scene for more than 20 plus years. Wow, that's a long time.
I came out very young. Okay.
Yeah, and before we get into it, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what you're doing in Los Angeles, right? So I know you are doing all these different projects, and I'm just curious, what do you do? What do you do in LA right now?
I own a massage shop. I own two in Los Angeles, one in Sherwood Oaks and one in Calabasas. Have been doing that for about 10 years now. And I have a hand in a few other things, but we'll see in the next coming months. So
stay tuned, right?
exactly.
Yeah. How did you get into that?
It's kind of those midlife crisis kind of things where you kind of go through a thing after, going through school, going through relationships in your mid-20s and realize, I want to do something else. I want to be happier. So I jumped into this and, honestly has kept me happy for a very long time. So I'm going to keep on doing it.
Yeah. What do you enjoy about it? What keeps you happy about it?
Aside from just connection, I really do feel that the intimacy that comes with like personal touch can come from massage as well. And it sounds strange, but like I really do see a difference between seeing someone come in and come out of a massage, and I can see them, be a little bit happier. And I really do feel that connects with mindfulness, meditation, massage, all that is kind of has a hand together. So, doing my part to just make people a little less stressed and happier every day.
Yeah. And I had a chance to go with you to your massage shop when I was back in LA. Yeah. And it was just so amazing. I think, everyone there is really happy and the services are so amazing. And I walked out feeling so amazing. And yeah, it's just amazing you've been able to create that kind of space in Los Angeles. And you have two locations actually, right? It's not just one location.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is amazing. How did the second location come about?
Just planning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as you get older, you just need to be able to have, a few different routes of success. So, the second location came about with, let's see, 6 years ago now. I've had this location 10 years, and next month is going to be 11 years. So I just need to expand a little bit.
Yeah. You're going to take over Los Angeles and every massage shop in Los Angeles. Wow.
Just doing my part,
Yeah. Yeah. And so your family is also in Los Angeles, right?
Yes. Born and raised here.
Yeah. Born and raised in LA. So how did your family end up in LA? Who was the one that ended up coming here? So you are second generation, right? So that means your parents were the one that came over here. So how did they end up here in America from Vietnam?
It's a really interesting story because I think it's a little different from normal Vietnamese refugee mentality or stories, because my father actually came here before the war to study. And so technically, that's very different from most Vietnamese Americans, which is, like the refugee story, which my mother and all my siblings, half siblings, have the same story. So they came here after, the fall of Ho Chi Minh, and they settled in San Gabriel Valley. And, we just decided that wasn't the area for us, so we decided to move to North Los Angeles. and we were very happy here.
Yeah. Do you have any insight into what was not good about San Gabriel Valley? Because I know that it's become this huge booming Asian population now, right?
Hmm.
I'm curious what made your family shift from there over to Los Angeles.
It's really interesting because my mother has always had a determination for individuality, and she felt that when we were pushed into areas that were way too similar to who we are or our upbringings, it made us kind of assimilate. So she decided to move a little further away, and that's when she met my father, and we really settled down here. And I really enjoy it because I do feel I'm a little different, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. How so? How are you different?
Um, I think I've, because there's certain areas of de facto segregation where you grow people with your similar race,
Mm-hmm.
similar backgrounds.
Ah, so it's like a mix, like a melting pot. Yeah.
Yes. But those areas also you also have the option of being able to take from your own culture and taking from the culture that at large. But I was kind of thrown into a larger melting pot, and there's not many Vietnamese people, but there are a lot of Caucasians, Latinos, blacks, Filipinos. So I had a very mixed upbringing. So I really appreciate it, actually, even though I really did miss out on growing up with a lot of Asians, which yeah.
Yeah. And how was that like? So, growing up in a neighborhood where you're one of the few Asians, if not the only Vietnamese person in the circle around you, how was that like?
It's it was a growing experience. I will say that I think a lot of Vietnamese or Asian Americans in general growing up in America in a very diverse background will feel they need to assimilate, that they need to like kind of give up on their values or who they are as a person. And I did feel that for many many years. So it's a regular process a lot of us go through, but eventually I did find my way back and find that pride in who I am and where I come from and my peers. So
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a kind of this like shedding as a part of trying to assimilate, right? You are in this world where even like right now, it's only 5% of America is Asian, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And all around you in commercials and billboard banners and even like the digital ads you see on Facebook, Twitter, everything, all of that is, I mean, it's much better now, but back then it used to be just all white people, you know?
Hmm.
And you have not only white people out there in front of you that you see every single day, but you also have their values, right? And it's almost like, well, if I want to get to there one day and if I want to be successful, I got to do that. I got to be like that. I definitely feel the pain too, where I was growing up and you have this one Asian part of you, but because we don't see it in media, it's like there is no place of Asian
There's no
people in media.
representation. Hmm.
Yes, exactly. And so my next question is kind of, you mentioned like you came back, you built this Vietnamese pride after trying to assimilate. Where was that turning point for you?
I think it really was in my mid 20s where you realize that your sense of identity really is solidified in your mid 20s to your early 30s, and you really find a way to come to terms with who you are and where you come from. And I think that had I given more leeway to like that side of me where it kind of gave up, that side of me, like I would not be the person that I am. And I really wanted to really come to fruition of, like the long history of where I came from and, my parents and my mom, my brothers and sisters. Actually, you know what? It was really my first trip back to Vietnam that really kind of made me see, like, I really do feel like I belong here. Like, there's always that sense of like You know, I'm a little different, but I really did feel a sense like of belonging there, and so I kind of brought that back here to the U.S.
Mm,
A sense of pride.
yeah. And have your other family members, have they been very prideful about the Vietnamese culture, or have other people kind of shed and assimilated into white American culture as well?
We've held our own. I will say that. I am very thankful to my brothers and sisters and my mother having, you know, having deep rooted values in being who we are, and also like accepting the American culture as well. So
Yeah. And are you the youngest?
I
Oldest?
am the youngest.
Youngest, the baby.
I'm the baby of five.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and so you went back to Vietnam, and I'm curious. A lot of Asian Americans, they go back to their heritage, right? Their country where their family was born from. And sometimes the people in these countries don't see you as Asian. They see you as American. And I'm curious if that happened to you too when you went back to Vietnam for the first time.
I felt like Godzilla, to be honest with you. I would, because as a Vietnamese
Yeah.
person, I am a little bit on the larger side. So I would literally walk down the street and I would tell my mother, like, Mom, why is everyone looking at me? And at one point I told her, like, oh, you know what, let me pick up something from this cart here. And she saw the way the people looked at me, and it was, yes, I felt like, like someone, like Godzilla, basically.
Yeah, I mean, the average height is much shorter than America
Hmm.
across most of Asia, but you definitely see it when you go to, when I went to Thailand and yeah, also Vietnam, but Thailand, I noticed it because I'm not, I'm tall, but I'm not like 6 feet tall. I'm like 5'9", 5'10" on a good day.
Hmm.
um, but I just tower above everyone in certain parts
Hmm.
of Thailand, and I'm like, oh, this is very interesting. And you're a little taller than me too, huh?
Hmm.
So
A little bit.
I definitely can see. So
But aside from the
yeah,
physicality, there was like social differences as well, and they were very accepting of it. So I was very appreciative of that.
ah, and what social differences do you think stood out the most?
I'll get back to you on that. But
Yeah,
there was a distinct difference.
yeah. For me, it's especially from Japanese culture, right? The what my
Hmm.
Japanese side, it's around being kind of outspoken, which stands
Hmm.
out societally. When I am at a
Very
restaurant,
stoic
or
Japanese people.
yeah,
Yes.
very stoic, and also you don't really, you're not really taught to say what you're thinking, you know?
Hmm.
And so whenever I go back to Japan and I'm just very, first of all, I'm very outspoken about my emotions, right? Like if I'm really happy, I'm really happy. And if I'm really upset, I'm like, kind of like, I'm not happy. But
Hmm.
that that kind of shocks some people in Japan. They're like, oh, wow, he's emotional.
But that's also something they can learn from.
Definitely, definitely. And then, even with that, it's sometimes if, let's say, for example, my family and I are at a restaurant in Japan and we got the wrong food, right?
Hmm.
Just being able to voice that and being able to say, hey, this isn't, something, something, even stuff like that, I've noticed they're taken aback a little by. They're like, oh, I mean, they'll fix it, but it's almost this communication of being really upfront and frank of even the smallest things, especially because I'm Japanese, that
Hmm.
I think is this disconnect. And they definitely treat, white people very differently, right? It's like, oh yeah, of course you're gonna be like that since you're white, Asian.
Hmm.
But I found that because I speak Japanese and I present as Japanese, they sometimes are taken aback by these things, this American culture that I've inherited over so many years. Yeah.
Hmm.
So my question to you is, when did you realize you were different from everyone else? When did you realize you were gay?
I knew that I was different in preschool, but it wasn't until I saw like a gay parade. I think it was on the news when I was in second or third grade, and I realized my mother talking about it. And I saw these people, these men, just loving each other and just being different. And I realized I wanted to be, that was me. I didn't I didn't know how to get there or how it would come to fruition, but I knew that was where I wanted to be or who I wanted to be with. And so it was really that turning point where I realized, hey, I was interested in men. And, it developed over years because back then the gay life was a little bit more taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit more secretive.
Yeah.
And, it really bloomed as I got older.
And how has the Asian community responded to you being gay?
Girl, I was there from the beginning.
How has your Vietnamese family side responded to you being gay?
A lot more accepting than I would say that a lot of people are. I mean, at the very beginning, I was, the black sheep. I think at this point, I'm really the entertainment of the family.
And now the unicorn, not the black sheep, but you're the unicorn.
Exactly. Another, not quite farmyard, more like running on a rainbow.
Yeah, and how has the and on the flip side of that question is how has the queer community responded to you being Asian, or how has it being Asian in the queer community?
It's changed a lot, to be honest with you. Because it was such a niche group before, and a lot of us do become assimilated into larger sets of groups. But I do feel that we hold our own now because we have such a large, strong community here, and we make an impact, and I think a lot of us should be proud of that. And if you don't know where we came from, I don't think you can be as proud. But I do see it that we're represented now. We're not just this little group of people that can be just sloughed off so easily and not spoken to. We're power players here.
Yep, showing up, being a part of the community, and representing.
Exactly.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you wrote in your bio that you've been a part of the LA Gaysian scene for quite some time. And I'm just, quite some time. It was 40 years? Yeah.
It's 20 years this year.
Yeah, wow. And I'm just curious, what has changed over the years in Los Angeles in that scene?
When I first started out, it was in its infancy, and we really created a culture where, we were really kind of a niche group, and a niche group part of like the larger gay community at large. And there's certain clubs like Rage, Game Boy, and that have created a safe space for us and a larger group, like just someplace in West Hollywood where in the larger space of the gay world where we feel comfortable, and has allowed us to flourish and really like spread out from there, which I'm really proud of. Actually, I'm really happy about that. I think a lot of people underestimate what it's done for West Hollywood and the Gaysian community at large. Like, I even, for example, when I was in Vietnam at a gay club, someone said to me like, "Hey, are you Derek from like Game Boy Rage?"
No, in Vietnam.
In Vietnam, I will never forget that. Bible. I hate to be Kardashian, but Bible. I swear on that.
How did they know? Yeah.
Let's just say I've been around for a long time.
Oh, wow. Like, how did you react to that? Yeah, you're like, okay, hi.
Stunned. I will say shocked, stunned, flattered, everything.
And was this at a gay club in Vietnam?
It was.
The world is so small. But along with that, do you find the Gaysian scene in Los Angeles to be very small?
It is. Well, again, we are a niche. We're a much larger niche than when I first started out. But in terms of like connecting with each other and being socially connected. Like it's very different now. Um,
What do you think has changed?
Social media, a lot of it. It
Ah,
makes the world a lot smaller. Everyone
yeah,
knows each other
yeah,
or knows of each other at this point, so
yeah.
it's easier and at the same time it's a lot harder.
Okay, what's easy about it and what's hard?
You don't have to introduce yourself.
Yeah, your
Oh,
reputation precedes you. Yeah.
it really does, especially with the social media being the way it is and the impact that it has. So like people see you, especially in um, metropolitan cities like Los Angeles, so everyone knows each other.
Yeah. And what's difficult? Dating?
Oh, that's always difficult.
It's
Especially in Los Angeles,
yeah.
where it's a constant like lazy Susan of personalities coming in from different countries and different cities.
Mm, yeah, almost like the major metropolitan cities. You just have all these people coming in and out, but surprisingly, they're usually the same type of people, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And so this takes us to the conversation now about love, queer Asian love. And I'm just curious,
Love.
love, our favorite topic. So, what is your stance on it? Are you looking right now? Are you hunting? What are you doing in love right now?
I'm very happily single. I think it is very difficult to find love here in Los Angeles, and I'm very actually happy working on myself, and because I think you and I are in a very similar mind frame, where if it's not amazing or substantial, then it's not really for us right now. So I'm all about love, but currently I love myself.
That's amazing. And how do you think you got there?
A lot of struggle. Which is a common truth for a lot of us. So I reached that point where you kind of look in the mirror and just see yourself and see the man standing in front of you and realize that you can be happier, you can be better. And I think I really wanted to find a route to get there. And there's a lot of distractions out there amongst gays, which is boys, booze, those are a lot of distractions. So right now, those distractions are less important to me.
Mm. And has there been a specific event or a specific something that happened in your life that kind of made you go, "Oh, okay. Let me look outside of it. Let me see something different with my relationship with myself and love."
I think there was a really dark period for me, and so a lot of us go through that. And once I reached this point where I was kind of looking at myself like, you know, maybe the way I was living was not what I wanted, and so that's when I kind of rose. You know, you just find a route to really make yourself happier and make the people around you happier.
Yeah, what were you struggling with the most during those times?
I think a lot of us struggle with this identity in terms of social media is very much a large part of it, and it interconnects with love. It interconnects with who we are as Asian people, because it wasn't only recently that we do see influencers that are Asian.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like not necessarily the most positive, or like for me, I feel like I'm a little bit more nuanced than that. And like I respect people that want to be in a speedo on the beach, but that's not me. And I do feel like that is the paradigm right now. That that is the pinnacle of what you should strive for. And I want to let people know, you maybe find a different route, find that area of life that makes you happy, and that's not necessarily for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the social media platforms also play into it too, you know, where you have, like, let's say for example Twitter versus Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twitter is really based on what you write, you know? It's not really the
Mm-hmm.
image. You can post images, you can post video, but it's really about what you write, right? You can't have a post without any text in it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically you have like a link to something else, but anyway. So Instagram is based on images, right? You cannot make a post without an image. And so with that, what are the implications with having images? It's very superficial, right? It's
Yes.
very much whatever shiny is going to be, you know, the thing that people click on the most, people look at the most, and of course it's going to end up in these destination villas in the Maldives, or somebody who has a 10 pack of abs, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not real life. And when it comes to images, we're interested in things that we don't see often. And
Mm-hmm.
so, because culturally we have just, you know, which is,
That we derive as special or different or better
yes,
than us, and
yes, yeah,
that's a real issue with social media nowadays.
yeah, yeah. What can we do about that then in social media?
I hate to bring it back to Grinder, but
Yeah.
when the when the creator of Grinder was actually questioned of what Grinder was to him, he just left it as a platform for however people wanted to use it. And so, like, as Grinder, that's a hookup app.
Yep.
And for
Yep.
you can liken that to Instagram because, like, that's a platform that we can use however we want. We can market whatever we want. We can
Yep.
connect however we want.
Yep.
And because it's a very superficial world, and I do feel that a lot of us are waking up to the fact that there's something beyond that we can use this platform as something else, as a way to connect with people, a way to really be mindful, be a little bit more aware, and just be a little bit more centered and love people a little bit more, opposed to, or even loving yourself, because Instagram's about loving other people. When it comes when it comes down to it, it's either loving other people or loving yourself in a very superficial way.
Yes, and it's also, you know, it's like this taboo where it's like if you hit, you know, double tap your own image, it's like, why you like your own image? It's like, no, why aren't you liking your own image,
Why
right?
not?
Yeah, exactly. It's like everyone should at least be liking their own image to begin with.
Yeah.
It's all other people. It's all what everyone else is doing, and it's never bringing you back to yourself, you know?
Hmm.
And the only time you see your feed is ever, you know, it's to look at comments of other people, right? It's
Hmm.
to see, you know, like even in the home feed, for example, you only see yourself there only right after you post. But aside from that, you never ever
Hmm.
see yourself. And so it's always living for other people. And so I'm super curious about this.
Hmm.
Like, what are your thoughts on these hookup apps, these dating apps?
Like, it's a great way to connect with people, but I do feel a lot of us use it as almost as a crutch to kind of, to crutch, to really quell either loneliness or issues we're having in our everyday life. And like, I'm a very sex positive person. Have sex, it's a great thing. Be safe, but at the same time, a lot of these apps do tap into a part of us that is very empty. I do feel, and it's very addictive. It's like a drug. So I do see a lot of people just hopping on there and just wanting to hook up, and there's a lot more than that. There's some delayed gratification as well. You don't necessarily need to hop on these apps, and I'm not putting it down in any way, but there's a lot more out there for people.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on the subway the other day, and I was standing and I wasn't looking for anything in particular, but this guy was using Grinder while he was sitting on the chair, and so it was in full view of my eyes, and I was just like, okay, this is really fascinating. Like I can see everything he's doing on Grindr right now. And he was just swiping through all these dick pics, looking at all these different profiles, and I was like, this is like, is he aware what what is he even doing right now? And I was like, huh, it's just it just becomes so second nature now, to do all these things even in public. And I see so many people posting their screenshots on these dating apps, on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, and even the conversations, very intimate, even deep conversations too. And I'm just really curious where this is all gonna go.
I'm very guilty of that. It's a very easy thing to make entertainment out of these conversations, because a lot of times either they're very entertaining or they're just not. And so I think I was really into it at one point, but I realized a lot of this was based in shaming people.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, oh, what does this do? Why is he messaging me so many times? Things like that. Or just like, oh, why is he socially awkward? And, it's there's a reason why these private conversations are private.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does connect us to a larger audience, but I think we as people should also hold ourselves accountable for these conversations, because like, these are people too. They're not just like names or faces in this void that we don't know. They're real people as well.
Yeah, totally. And I don't think there's a single person who can say that they've never been shamed for anything that they've done in the past.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
we all have.
And what keeps them tied to a community, or what keeps them coming back to society, are the people that believe in them, right? Believe in us. And I think, as much as it feels good to shame people, we kind of have to take a step back and look at the bigger picture of what are we trying to accomplish by doing this, and
who are you impressing?
Yeah.
Who are you entertaining? And it's not necessarily, again, like, if you really look, I think there was a moment last year where I asked why. And why is a very, very impactful question if you ask it of everything you do, everything you think, and every interaction that you have. And when you actually dive deeper into these whys, you really come to a sense of like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe the entertainment value that I'm getting from this or giving to people isn't necessarily something that is impacting my life in a positive way, or impacting these people in a positive way.
Yeah. And on the apps too, no fats, no femmes, no Asians is such a popular, and is still a popular thing people are posting in their profiles, right?
Very popular.
Yeah. And so my question to you is, how do you feel about the people who say, well, that's just a preference, that's just my preference?
That's such a loaded question.
Unpack it.
I mean, girl, I feel like that's a whole episode that you need to work on itself. But like, it really comes down to like, can you really judge what you're attracted to off of the skin color, this race, like based on, each culture has millions, if not billions, with Asians, of people. So you can say that you're not attracted to this one person, but not attracted to this entire race. That is based in racism.
Yeah, you're right. Asians comprise 60% of world population. And so you're saying if the world population is 7.8 billion people, that's 3.9 billion people you've judged.
That's a lot of, exactly. That you're not attracted to.
That's a lot of people you're not attracted to.
Good luck finding someone. Just saying.
Yeah. And and it's so funny because a lot of the people, like on the flip side, right? So let's think about the people who say only Asians, right? There are those people who are the people who only date Asian people, the rice queens, right? Which is very pervasive. Are rice queens good for the community?
I feel like we're going from one type of problematic to a different kind of problematic.
Yeah, yeah. These ends of the
'Cause
spectrum, yeah.
yes, I that is left up to other people to decide, but I do feel that it does go back to another type of racism,
Yeah.
fetishism.
Yep, yep.
You're
Racial
fetishizing
fetishism.
exactly a certain, just because my eyes look a certain way, you're attracted to it. Just like if you're racist, just because my eyes are a certain way, you don't like me. They're two sides to the same coin.
Yeah. As if almost you can determine my personality based on my skin color, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like based on my eye shape, size, color. Somehow you know me, which makes no sense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Because again, 3.9 billion Asians, and just because I look a certain way, I will act that way. It's the same thing. I do feel it can be problematic to the community because I do feel that a lot of being Asian in America, you lose a sense of identity. So a lot of times Asian Americans, we're the quote unquote model minority. The reason why is because we do strive to these ideals that have been put forth by Caucasians. Like which is found in America, like which is perfectly understandable. But at the same time, like you are kind of giving up yourself and allowing these people to really kind of use you up, because a lot of these rice queens do use people up. And
Yeah. Yeah. And have you faced any of this personally? These experiences being either
of course,
fetishized? Yeah.
yes,
How was that
of
like?
course, it wasn't fun. I think I learned early on that that wasn't for me, that I wasn't this object to, because I came from a very different, I grew up with a lot of white people. I grew up with these people where it made me feel that I was different. And so I had that critique of being made feel a little too special by certain people
Yeah, yeah.
for not the right reasons.
Exoticized, yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm. It doesn't feel good. And, I know because I've been following you for quite some time now, and I've seen on your social media, you've been on this big journey, not just mentally with mindfulness, but with your body as well. You've really transformed your body over the years that I've known you, and I'm just curious, what has that been like for you?
It's been an interesting journey. Um, I think I really focused on myself because, it's very connected to social media, and how you present yourself is how you attract people, how you market yourself. And so, I worked on myself. I've seen a lot more interactions, but at the same time, you are disillusioned by it as well.
Could you explain to the listeners kind of where you were at and then where you kind of like your body journey? What has that been?
Um, so in my lifetime, I've kind of gone through, you know, obesity to like being fit, obesity being fit, and being childhood obesity to well into adulthood. I was obese. I think my heaviest I was like 240 pounds,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and now I'm about 170. So, um,
Wow. That's a whole person almost.
it's basically a third grader. Um, so, um, so it wasn't really me trying to work on my body. It was really just working on myself as a whole, and of course, your body is part of it. So I think it really was more of the mindful journey that I worked on, and I think I saw this quote once. you kind of let go of personal pains, you see physical changes. And honestly, the physical
Ah,
changes really came with the mindfulness. It was a secondary side effects or benefit. So it's I'm not hating on it.
yeah, yeah. And how has the community around you reacted to your body image changing?
Oh, hey girls. It's like, oh, hey, there
Yeah,
you are. It
yeah.
was really funny because I as I said, I went from like being fit to not fit to fit again, and so the last 5 years I wasn't so fit, and so I almost felt invisible. I was there, but like it wasn't so. I wasn't recognized as much. I wasn't said hello to as much, and I think really when the body transformation happened, there was a lot more attention. But at the same time, because I went on a mindful trip before that, this attention isn't as important to me. And it's I mean it's nice, but I'm just glad to be healthy. I'm glad to have a body
Yeah,
that works. That's all.
yeah. A lot of people go through the same things, and they may not even have had this spectrum of going from one body type to another. But I can definitely attest to, for me, it hasn't been my weight, but more so my acne. It was so bad to a point where people called me pepperoni face, and people would give me all these like
Mm.
unsolicited, the unsolicited like tips was the worst. I don't know if you got that, but it's like, here, you could do this to like clear up your skin. You could do this, and I was like, I've done that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Have you gotten those unsolicited advice too as you were
I
navigating
I think
body?
we all have at the
Yeah.
gym. Maybe you want to try it this way. Maybe you want to try this diet. Maybe you want to do
Oh my
keto.
God.
Maybe you want to do vegetarian. It's also I live in Los Angeles,
Oh,
so
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
image you're constantly commented on that every single day. So
Wow.
it's we've all been there here.
Yeah, yeah. Has there any been like the most jarring comment where you're like, did you really just say that?
Not in terms of weight, but someone I was dating who I stopped dating after that would did tell me that I need Botox in certain areas.
What?
Yeah, and I have pretty good skin. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I don't have bad
No, you
skin,
look
but
like
like
you're
the
so
fact,
young. Yeah.
just the fact that like this person would have the gall of dating me and telling me like I need to improve myself. Like like superficiality. Like I get it. Like if they told me something that I need to improve myself, that would be aside from that. I would understand. I would take that to heart. But this was very very superficial. And like all of it is like from your spectrum, the pepperoni face to me being fat, like it's all superficial. It doesn't really add to anything else aside from something nice to look at.
Why do you think people say these things, these like comments to like it's like, do they think they're helping? Where do you think it comes from?
I do feel like people are trying to help. I think it's just they don't have the best route of being able to message that to the person.
Hmm. Yeah, I would understand if you were saying, yeah, you voiced some things about Botox maybe here and there, and then they're like, oh yeah, I looked this up in the newspaper. But if it's just out of the blue, it's almost very questionable where it's coming from, right? It's like, have you
Hmm.
been thinking about this entire time we've been dating?
Hmm.
And I think it shines more light into them and their character more so than what they're recommending you to do.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And I'm curious. So we talked about kind of the spectrum of Asian exotification versus the like the shunning of Asians in dating here in America. How has your experience been like dating here in America? Do you think it's been easy, difficult?
I will say it's probably more difficult than I would say. If I do feel like if I were Caucasian, I think I wouldn't face the obviously I wouldn't face the no femmes, fats, Asians, whatever. But it really did come back to a sense of community amongst Asians. That's where I really found relief because I don't have racial hangups. I've dated outside of my race, and I'm fine with that. But you do feel a sense of belonging with people that you don't have to explain yourself to.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that is true. You were raised with one type of culture, and it's pretty ingrained into you. It's like blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, how have they helped guide you? Like, has it been a specific person more than a group? Has it been a group that's really helped you the most? What's really, kind of gotten you to where you are today in that community?
So because I grew up with, not necessarily Asian background, once I did jump into the gay scene, it was mostly Gaysians. And they really did help me find my place and find basically a home. And I'm really thankful for that because that part of my identity I'm very proud of. Being Gaysian in Los Angeles, it's a lot easier than say being Gaysian in Ohio or being Gaysian wherever else. You do find people that understand you and see you, and dating here outside of your race is a little bit easier, but I will say it's not that easy. You do face, racism. You do face certain stereotypes, and even amongst the community, like if you date outside of Geisha as a whole, like people do look at you with a little bit of judgment, or just who are you dating? Why are you dating them?
Yeah, it's kind of this split audience, right, in the Gaysian community, where there are the people who are very open and adamant about being open to it, but it seems like there's a community within the Gaysian community who are very against it, regardless of whether you have maybe, dated them since God knows when, but they're almost like see you as a traitor,
Oh, definitely. I've seen it.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think people have these beliefs?
Especially in America, how, we're, again, it goes back to being a minority, but a lot of us face the same kind of racism stereotypes, and we fall into this group where, like, we're in this group because we're protecting each other and we understand each other. And so when you do see this person go outside of your group, we automatically descend upon it and attack it because it's different. It's
different.
like
Yeah,
it's different.
That's really interesting. It's different, and different can be good, and different can be bad. And I'm just wondering, like, how do we navigate this? This exotification of us, queer Asians, this difficulty with navigating love. Where do we go? What do we do?
I think the main point is this person should be attracted to you for who you are opposed to what you are. I don't think it's any more difficult than that. Like they like you for you, not just because you're part of a certain culture or certain race.
Yeah. It's almost rebalancing your priorities, right?
Mm.
Where you can only prioritize certain things. You can't prioritize everything, And some people prioritize race, some people prioritize body, and people should be prioritizing really the way this person treats you, and how might it align to the way you treat them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
they gotta love you the way you should love yourself. I'm saying.
Yes, you have to.
And if you don't love yourself, you shouldn't be in a relationship. Love yourself first. I'm just saying, putting out there.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what made you realize you really loved yourself? Like, was there a moment in time when you're like, oh, I really enjoy myself?
myself, I've always put out this image of like that I love myself, that, you know, I was number one priority, that I actually used to say, it's Derek's show. Um, it's a Derek show. So either I'm the star, you are either
Supporting
a
character.
co-star, exactly, a guest star, like a background actor or something like that. And I think there was really a point last year where I dived deeper into myself and really saw that, I didn't love myself as much as I did. I didn't love myself for the things that I need to love myself for. And again, it really goes into superficiality. A lot of us do love ourselves because of the way we look. And that fades. That changes over time. And I I really implore people to jump a little deeper into their psyche and really understand why they love themselves and the things they love themselves about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And like if it's just that, maybe you need to develop other skills and parts of your personality that you should love. Be kinder, be be kinder, be just more empathetic, be more connected as a person.
Yeah, or even be more creative, right? Grow that part of yourself.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, be more introspective. Yeah.
Be more worldly.
Yeah.
Just all of that.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is amazing. I have some rapid fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, so 3 questions. First one: what do we need more of in love?
Empathy, definitely empathy. I do feel that in terms of love, we actually, you know what? There's this book called The Five Languages of Love. If you really, it's a very popular book, and a lot of people have read it, but it really helped me understand love and what people need from it, and what I'm giving is not necessarily what they need. I do feel like empathy is the biggest part, because I think a lot of us go into love being very selfish. We go into it, oh, me, 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 me. This is what I need. This is what I want, and not necessarily realizing that it is a partnership, and you need to be aware of the other person's needs as well. And just because you're giving as much as you can isn't necessarily the way the person needs it or wants
it. That's a really good point. Yeah. What we need to give is not necessarily what they need to
receive.
Yes. Yeah. What's your love language?
Quality time and touch to receive. But again, being gaysian, it's a very large part of Asian American culture where like acts of service is a big thing that a lot of us give.
Yep. Cleaning, cooking, laundry.
That's all me, yo. I think that's a lot of us, because like that's how Asian American parents or Asian parents give love in general. They never really vocalize it, but they show you in saying like, hey, did you eat it?
Yeah. Are you hungry? Right? That's like one of the first questions. Like, what have you eaten? Right? It's not like, what have you done today? Or like, who did you hang out with? It's like, are you hungry? Did you eat? What did you eat? And if you've been telling them like, nothing, they go straight to the kitchen, right?
Exactly.
It's not that.
Or another scoop of rice. Something like that.
A scoop of rice, another thing. And it's not that, they don't love you. They love you so much through this love language, It's just a very way. That's a really good lesson for, I think, everyone. Okay, question number 2. What do we need less of in love?
Comparison.
Okay.
You need to stop comparing yourself to the person that you're with. You also need to stop comparing yourself to people that this person is hanging out with, necessarily, or attracted to. Like, just this person is with you for a reason. they care about you, they want to be with you. So any other distractions should just be that, a distraction, and you know, mute that dissonance, basically.
I really like how you said it's a distraction from finding your truth, finding your honesty,
Mm-hmm.
right? Your truest self. And I always say, we have so many races we can run, right? When we focus on all these different things, whether it's academia, whether it's capitalism, whether it's mindfulness, whatever the race is. But whenever we compare ourselves and chase after somebody else, we're always going to be second best in their lane, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And until we can break out of it and start seeing that, no, there are billions of different ways and there are billions of different paths to take, and they're all just as good as one another, we can finally validate that we are good enough and then find that space for true love of self when we do find the opportunity to do that for ourselves. And then last question is, what is inspiring you lately?
Connection.
Hmm.
I did go on this mindfulness journey last year, and just kind of the energy that I've been putting out, I've been receiving a lot of people that really respect that as well. It's also kind of pushed away people that didn't understand this journey, and they're on their own path as well. So I understand it, but like currently, I just love who I'm connecting with, who I just feel good with and
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. Yeah. And are there any books or resources you'd recommend from this journey of yours, this mindfulness journey?
There's a lot of books. well, um, well, the Five Languages of Love is great. As a gay man in a certain socioeconomic, part of the ladder, I do feel that The Velvet Rage was a great book because it really explores shame in terms of there's a lot of shame, like we're talking about Gaysians in America. There's a lot of shame there, so or just being shameful as a gay person in a straight world, which is the real subject of this book. So it's a great book.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And I know you also started Headspace, the app, a little bit
Oh, it's a
ago
great
too.
app.
Yeah, yeah. And you were talking about it on your social media, the meditation app.
I know where a lot of us are very busy, so meditation is one of those things where you really have to like take time, sit down, and realize this is self-care. And as an app, it really helps with just your intention, even setting how long you want to meditate. It's a great thing, and it really has brought me a lot of peace and clarity in my everyday life. So their anxiety's gone. There's a lot of things that you can really, again, distractions. There's a lot of distractions out there that you can kind of push away with
Yeah.
meditation and not
Mm-hmm.
focus on
Mm-hmm.
so much.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
Any last words of wisdom for our listeners? Any advice?
Mm, just find a way to love people and respect them. I In any capacity that you can. I think love is one of those things where it's not a finite thing. There's always more of it within yourself. And if you doubt that, just imagine your worst breakup or a bad
Yeah.
breakup, and going on to the next person to
Yeah.
find a way to love this person or find love again. So just realize like there's always love there, and take confidence in that, and take empathy in that with other people and yourself.
Yeah. Is that the advice, same advice you'd give to yourself, your younger self?
I remind myself every day, and I think everyone should.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Derek. It was an absolute joy to have you.
It was great having me too. I adore you. You know that.
Oh,
So
thank
it's been a
you.
great time.
Thank you. Thank you. And how can everyone reach out to you? How can they find you?
I think the best really source is Instagram.
Yeah.
Find me on findyourfearless.com, our Instagram.
At
.com.
Find Your Fearless.
Yes.
Yes. Reach out to Derek and take a look at his posts. And yeah, if you also want to get in touch with me, you can reach out to my Instagram at Stephen Wakabayashi. And if you enjoyed this, please leave a rating and review. It takes a few seconds. If you have a few minutes, please leave me a comment. It helps other people find this podcast and our conversation here as well. And with that, so much love for you, and hope your day can be a little bit more mindful with a little dose of Stephen and Derek for you today.
Yay!
Yay! Okay. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.